And this is one of the times where I completely just disagree with the FUD that he's kind of throwing out there, and the aggression toward Richard for doing it, and why won't he debate me, and this kind, like, I'm like, whoa, buddy, you know, pull back the reins a little bit.
So the big topic, we have a poll on it. We're going to look at the results so far in a moment. But the Pulse Chain Bridge and now PulseX and the Pulse Chain site and the Pulse scanner, basically everything, the Hex front end, everything now in this ecosystem has had the same fate as just a few weeks ago when we saw the Hex front end had the landing page turned into basically, I don't want to say it's just a series of links. That's not all it is, but contains a series of decentralized links with the IPFS link, which is basically the private version of the site, that you can run on your own, as well as .exe files that you can run the code for the Hex contract, the Pulse chain, the PulseX contract on your own local PC, which is about as decentralized as it possibly gets. Contrary to what some of the, I don't know if I call it propaganda, but some of the tweets you're seeing, you'd think that you'd go to these sites that were formerly like the exact landing page, the exact front end, and you know they're now just simply you know, in all like like they're all grayscale now, and you don't even understand what's going. I mean, the branding is still there; it's all clearly, you know, still that. There's just a series of links you can click that work and are the correct links. So you know, this has been a contentious topic. Most people are in favor of it, actually, and do see it as further decentralizing something that's also already one of the most decentralized blockchains in crypto. But is Richard pulling these down just plainly for the decentralization part of it, you think, Ewok, because he wants, is it also him wanting to, you know, and regardless of anything going on with any bullshit 3-letter agency that's just, you know, making up charges that aren't real, I think there's something to be said for him wanting to separate himself entirely from these products, because, you know, we talk about Bitcoin, we talk about Ethereum. You don't go to bitcoin.com and like create a Bitcoin stake. I mean, you can't even really do that. But I'm saying, even though he is like commissioned these products and not really worked on them himself, I mean, he has devs, obviously, but, you know, they're not him. And I think that it's a great idea to remove him from it while still knowing, you know, his thoughts on crypto, freedom, the different things he talks about, much like Charles Hoskinson, who chimed in on some stuff the other day too. I think it's just good that he does want to remove himself, because he wants these to be as decentralized as possible. So what do you make? I mean, there's so many angles to this I'm going to get into. So first off, what do you make about the moves in general? And I'll just offer up the complaint, I guess, we're seeing from maybe 20% of people that are already in the ecosystem, maybe 10, is just that, like, oh, it makes it harder for new investors to get in. It's confusing. You don't know what to do. What do you do? What do you make of all these angles?
So first you have to look at statistics, and I did see Steph, who was the creator of Staker app and things like that. He used to work for Google. He made a comment that said, every extra click that you have to do, I think you lose 20% on each click or something along those lines. So I get the fact that the more clicks you have, the harder it is to onboard people. However, with the state of affairs and the overreach, especially of those 3-letter agencies, I think the way it's happening is better in the long run. You know, you can teach your onboards to make one click to get to that DEX or to get to the landing page for Hex. I just think being able to run it on your own server, on your own computer, is fantastic. Now, beware when you do that. There are going to be updates. So, especially with like PulseX, I don't think there will be too many more updates to go.hex.com. However, I do see more updates coming with PulseX, and what was the other one? The bridge.
Yes.
As they improve things like that, you're going to want to make sure that you have the right version. Right now, it's like v.001 or something like that,
Right.
or 002. So that's one of the problems that I have with other people creating landing pages, and shortcuts. I mean, it's great to have it. I just think it creates a very big security vulnerability. I don't know what those people are, where they're hosting their website or what they're doing. Can somebody get in there and do something malicious to it, change the code enough to where it becomes a wallet drainer once you click something and you're not paying attention to approve something? Are you going to end up with an empty wallet? That's one of my biggest fears of not using the IPFS or the ones that are on those sites. Now, again, back to the overreach. We've seen them take websites down, and it would be awful if that happened. However, if you have it downloaded to your system, um, that doesn't matter anymore. You can still operate everything right from your computer. So, it's good in a way as long as you're keeping them up to date. And yeah, I'm not worried about the one extra click. We can teach our onboards how to get to this and explain what true decentralization really is. That's why it's important. Yes, it is an extra click or two, but this is why it's important. And I think if that's the road we go down and explain why it's like that in the first place, the decentralization factor alone should make people understand and be like, oh wow, that makes sense. Because if you remember back in the day when there was these platforms like BitConnect and all of those, when BitConnect went down, it was gone. Everything was gone, your money included, because it was in the platform. Um, this completely gets rid of all of those um, chances of anything like that happening. So again, it's another security layer, it's another decentralization layer, and more so than anything, it's a freedom layer. We don't need, we don't need websites. If you have them downloaded at the zip file and you run it on your own, then that's even better. So
Yeah.
that's kind of how I feel about the whole thing. This is one of the times where I do like Gold Key a lot. Him and Dipcatcher have done amazing things with the Maximus tokens and everything like that. And this is one of the times where I completely just disagree with the FUD that he's kind of throwing out there, and the aggression toward Richard for doing it. And why won't he debate me? And this kind, like, I'm like, whoa, buddy, pull back the reins a little bit, understand what it's for. And he's a smart guy. I just don't understand why there's just so much drama about it. Um, so yeah, that's where I stand. I'm all for it, man. The more we can get away from the necessity of even having, like, we all love Richard, but the more we can get away from any of the websites that look like a front end, the better. And
Yeah.
the community builds their own too. So I mean, we've got those on top of it. There's not only his stuff, but there are other things that work as well. So just adds to that extra decentralization layer.
Yeah, I agree with you, and to the point that you said about like websites being taken down, I think it's good to get out in front of that and
Yeah.
make sure that people know how to use something like that, so that isn't even a possibility.
Right.
Or if it did happen in some way, it doesn't matter because everybody already knows how to use it.
Yep.
I think that's a good thing to do. Not only that, I think it is awesome, literally, for him to completely separate himself
Mhm.
from the products. Not talking about any kind of reason other than just the decentralization of it. Like, if it really is the most decentralized thing, Ethereum's like bigger than Vitalik now. Like, people don't talk about Ethereum, like the layman. There are people out there that are casual crypto investors that have ETH or use ETH every day that I've never heard the name Vitalik Buterin. You know what I mean?
Right.
Our ecosystem is like the opposite of that. Like everybody knows that Richard Hart, and it's because of the kind of guy he is, clearly. And I think that that's a good thing. I'm not hating on that at all. I'm just saying that this trajectory, I think, is only a natural trajectory for all the products that we have now. For as decentralized and as good of the products they are, is for him to go back like that. I mean, I just think that that makes sense.